Let's bring in a buddy of mine, WFAN Oh the Pain podcast host, my good buddy Joe Benigno. Joe, good to see you as always, brother. How are you?
Moose, I'm rocking and rolling, Moose. In spite of my horrific football team, I'm doing okay.
Let's start there with the Jets, right? I was the idiot that picked them to win the Super Bowl for the start of the year. The expectations.
You know, Moose, let me just stop you right there. You just always consult me on that because they will never win the Super Bowl.
All right,
okay.
With the expectations,
as long as Benigno is walking the earth, there will be no Super Bowl for the Jets. Just remember that.
I will heed the advice moving forward. Is this one of the more disappointing years that you can remember as a Jet fan with the expectations coming into the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at it that way. We all got delirious over Aaron Rodgers. You know, they got a free pass. I mean, first of all, let's be honest. What happened last year could only happen to the Jets, Moose. You know that. I mean, what other team could all the hoopla with Rodgers and all the insanity and 4 plays into what he's done for the year, what other team could that happen to? And then fast forward to this year, what other team with all the expectations that we've had for Rodgers could lay the proverbial egg that they have laid through 10 games? I mean, you know, what else can you say? I mean, so it's been a major disappointment. There's no question about it.
And, Joe, the firing of Saleh actually made them weaker. I mean, the defense looks like they don't have a pulse.
Well, the firing of Saleh, look, I mean, I kind of felt that Saleh was going to was in trouble. I didn't know if he was going to make it through the year. I thought he'd last longer than he did. But, you know, looking back at it retrospectively, it was a mistake. I mean, Woody should have stayed with him the entire year, or he should have fired him at the end of last year. I mean, that's basically what he should have done. And you know what? I'm not going to just put it on the firing of Saleh. This defense, let's be honest about it, Moose.
Yeah.
You know, John Franklin Myers is gone. Bryce Huff is gone. C.J. Mosley's injury, I think C.J. Mosley's probably done for his career. I don't think we're going to see him again this year or ever. I think that's been a big hit. You know, they lost Jermaine Johnson for the season early on. You know, they're just not the same defense. You're looking at that secondary's been terrible. Sauce Gardner, let's be honest.
Terrible.
Is there anybody more overrated in the NFL than Sauce Gardner? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
To me, if there's one snapshot of what this season has been through the first 10 games, it's that missed tackle by Sauce Gardner on the Cardinal tight end. I think it was McBride, when he had him for like a stop on third down. He was like 5 yards short of the third down, and next thing you know, this guy's breaking the tackle and going for 15 yards. I mean, to me, that is the low point of the year so far. Looking at, you know, and look, it could probably get a lot lower. But, you know, Sauce Gardner not making that tackle, what a disgrace. But, you know, the other thing with Sauce, he never gets an interception. No, Moose, never, ever, ever. The team never gets a turnover, never gets an interception, right? I don't want to hear how great cover guy. He really covered that guy from New England well. You know, what was his name? Shake Your Booty or whatever his name was. You know, it wasn't exactly Justin Jefferson. And then, you know, he's been a disaster. I wouldn't pay him a dime going forward. Not a dime.
Let's talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. Is this going to be it? He's got a dead cap number of $49 million for 2025. He said today still plans on being here next season. What do you do with Rodgers next year?
You know, I actually want him back, and I'll tell you why. I want him back because they have to draft a young quarterback, Moose. And when they draft that young quarterback, whoever that may be, I want him to sit for a year. You know, I don't want to see him play. You know, we saw what happened with even Sanchez played right away, and even though they won, he had a really good team around him, you know, for a couple years. But, you know, Zach Wilson played right away. Sam Darnold played right away. You know, I don't want that anymore. You know, Woody Cole played right away. Geno Smith. I don't want that anymore. You know, I want my young quarterback to sit for a year. So, you know, I want Rodgers back for another year. I'd run it back for one more year. I would.
All right, Joe, let's talk a little bit of baseball. Switch it over. Mets, big-time chance at landing Soto in Queens. $700 million, whatever the number might be.
Right.
Do you think Soto ends up in Queens, and what else do the Mets need to do this offseason to get themselves to the World Series next year?
Well, I mean, they got a lot of free agents. They got to read before we even get to Soto. And obviously, I want Soto. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
It's the one scenario, Moose, where I'll live if they let Pete Alonso walk. If Uncle Stevie signs Soto,
and Alonso's gone, you'll be A-okay with it.
I'm not A-okay with it, but I can live with it. You know what I mean? If you sign Soto. if you don't sign Soto, you better get Pete signed. I'll say that. But they got to do look. They got all these. Manaea is a free agent. Severino is a free agent. Quintana is a free agent. They got all these free agent pitchers out. They got to pretty much remake the pitching staff. Now, I'd like to see Manaea back. I think I'd like to see Severino back as well. But we'll see what they do. Here's the one thing that I have confidence in. The management team looks like it really is in place. You got an owner that's going to spend money.
Yep.
As much as I was down on Stearns, I was wrong about him. Basically, every move he made worked out. And I love Mendoza. I love him.
Should be manager of the year, Joe.
He should be. I wish he could coach my football team. I love Mendoza. No, I do. I love him.
Yeah.
I think he's a tremendous manager. So I'm unlike the Jets, who are the complete opposite with their management team. You have confidence in who's running the Mets. That's for sure.
No doubt. And Soto, I think he's going to end up in Queens. Joe, love you, brother. Always appreciate it. Check out Oh the Pain podcast. Joe's on WFAN each and every Saturday morning. Joe, appreciate the time tonight.
Moose, anytime for you. God bless. All the love.